How to invest when you have zero motivation. I mean, you're even feeling kind of lazy about the whole thing. That's today's show. Let's dive into it. Here we are at our very first rental property. Hey everyone, when you're done with today's show, you are going to have the motivation to get up off the couch and go out there and become a real estate investor. I believe it's the number one way to build wealth. So at the end of today's episode, I'm going to give you an action plan, a 5-step action plan that I've personally used in order to take action and become an investor. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. We really appreciate your subscriptions. Just click the little subscribe button and you can also be notified when new episodes go live. You know, our goal with this channel is to help you build financial intelligence. We want you to build financial freedom using passive income from real estate. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor. I used to work in television for a number of years, but while I was there, I was buying properties, one house at a time, and building passive income to the point when I said, I'm done. I'm not working for the man anymore. I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to go and do this job any longer. I'm going to spend more time with my family, and I'm going to enjoy the life that I know I'm capable of leading. So that's my goal with this channel. I hope you will find it powerful. Now, there can be a time when you might say, you know, I've been doing a lot of research. I want to get started. I'm exhausted. You know, I work hard. I don't have the motivation. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. We all make excuses. Now, I'm going to give you 5 steps on how to overcome this and things that I've used. But I want to frame this for you to understand where I'm coming from. I suffered from discipline problems, okay? Now, my wife is the type that when she would get an assignment in college, she would get some sort of a homework assignment or a paper, she would go home that day after the 3-hour class and she would start working on it. I was the type who would get that assignment, knew we had 3 weeks to work on it, and I would put it off until the last few days when I would scramble and get it all done. Now, I never missed an assignment. I never had a late paper come in or a test or anything like that. I was never late for any of it. But I just lacked the discipline to get it done early. So I would wait, think about it, put it off until I had to do it. And I know that this can be difficult for some people. So I'm on the same wavelength as you if you struggle with this motivation piece. You probably are frustrated because you don't even know where to get started with real estate investing. You don't know, okay, I work a 9 to 5 already. Then on the weekends, I've got my kids' soccer games. How do I even start? Okay, so let's go through these 5 steps. You're feeling frustrated and where you want to go. First step is honestly, just get up, leave your phone behind, leave your AirPods behind, leave your earbuds behind, and just take a long walk, okay? It works for Steve Jobs, it worked for Albert Einstein, and it absolutely works for me. That when you remove the clutter and the noise from your brain and just get outside and take a walk, breathe in some air, and think about what you want to achieve. Why are you doing this in the first place, okay? And that brings us to step 2, is to figure out your why. So when you're out on this walk, I want you to really get in touch with why you want financial freedom. Why do you want to live this life? Is it because you want to spend more time with your children? Is it because you don't want to drive 2 hours to and from work every day on a freeway and be stuck in traffic all the time? Is it because you're tired of working for somebody else and you don't have enough to show for it at the end of the day? What is your why? Is it that you have a sick relative, knock on wood, that doesn't happen, but that you want to spend more time taking care of this person for the last little bit of their life? I had a friend who cherished the fact that he could just be with his mom in the last year of her life by her side, and he cherished that year. What is your why? You need to get to that point before you move on to any of the mechanics, right? Because the step-by-step, should I invest in single families, commercial, I don't care. Should you buy gold? Should you invest in Bitcoin? No. Should I buy a business? I don't care about any of that. You need to understand your why, first of all. Why is it that you want to create more freedom in your life? Why is it that you want that space back in your heart? Honestly. So go for a walk, step 1. Step 2, really get in touch with your why and write it down. Okay? That should start to create some momentum around your motivation, right? So that's exactly what happened to me. My wife came to me and said, we can't pay our mortgage this month. And here I was working at a fantastic job with a fantastic salary, and yet somehow I didn't understand my expenses properly. I didn't have enough money in the bank to really even pay my mortgage. And I said, enough. What if we could reverse engineer it? What if we could figure out how many rental properties it would take for me to never have to work another day in my life, to have that safety net put in place, to never have to see my wife come into my office upset that we just can't pay our mortgage this month? What does that look like? So step 3 in this process is setting a goal. Now, I've put together a simple goal worksheet for you. If you want to download it, it's totally up to you. It's around real estate investing, but it helps you figure out how many rental properties it would take for you to become financially free. I call it my Freedom Cheat Sheet. If you haven't already downloaded it, please do. And you can just download it in the description below, or just go to morrisinvest.com/freedom. It's 3 pages. Download it. It will help you understand how many rental properties it will take for you to achieve financial freedom. So now what I did was I got my why, right? I figured out my why, and then I figured out my goal. Once I had this goal of understanding I needed 12 rental properties in order for my family to be financially free, and where I wouldn't have to wake up early and go off to a job anymore and work for somebody else, making somebody else wealthy, I put that number, that goal, I put that up on my wall. 12. I had it written out right on my computer. I had it on our refrigerator. I had it on my whiteboard in my office. I saw it constantly. And I was constantly reminded of that goal. And then you start to move towards it. What's amazing is if you set your intention towards this goal, we now know at the quantum level that this happens. We align our intention with this energy. Now things start to come into our path, right? You might discover this podcast. You might discover somebody else who's in real estate. You might find out that your neighbor, who you never see him working, he's always in his driveway just working on his cars. He loves his old cars. And you always wondered what John did for a living. He's like, oh, I'm a real estate investor. I don't work. I just have passive income from my rental properties. Some of these things are going to start to show up in your life that you didn't expect because you set your intention on your goal. It absolutely happens. If you think this is phooey or hokey, you're totally wrong. We now know this to be the case. Do some research on it, I'm telling you, and get back to me. Step 4 in this process is to take one tiny step. One tiny step. Very often when I'm working with new real estate investors, they try to take 80 steps at one time, but they never take one step at any time. Hear me again. When I'm working with new real estate investors, they try to take 80 steps at one time, and therefore they never even take one step at any time. They get so bogged down in information that they never do anything. Okay? I have a lot of engineering friends who've become real estate investors, and they joke about it, but it's true that engineers will tend to spend so much time analyzing and never doing anything. They'll take 2 years before they actually take action and buy a property. So think about that. You need to take one step. Now, what is that one step? It could just simply be getting your goal together. It could be going to a local real estate meetup. It could be, starting to identify properties, meeting with a realtor. I mean, whatever it is. Maybe it's getting your finances in order. How are you going to buy this rental property? That means maybe you're going to talk to your 401k provider and you're going to borrow from your 401k. You've got money sitting in an IRA that's doing nothing. You could talk to our team about rolling it over to a self-directed IRA and buying your first property. There are any number of ways to take that first step. Okay, it could be having a conversation with a spouse that you think is scared of investing in real estate, and yet they somehow think that the stock market is safer. That's crazy, right? But that's how we're trained. We're trained to believe that investing in the stock market is safer than investing in real estate, which is absolutely the exact opposite of true. So it could be whatever. It could be any of those steps. It just matter of taking that first action step. And step 5 is to rinse and repeat. The next step in this process is to do it over again. Okay? That means look at your goal, see your goal, know that you've taken a step towards that goal, and then take the second step. It's that simple. This has been the key to my success in any of the projects that I've worked on. I use an app on my iPad called Things. You could use OmniFocus or another to-do app, and it breaks it down into project chunks. So for instance, buy my next rental property might be a project. And I could break that up into 10 action steps, right? Step 1 might be talk to my 401k provider about how much funding I'm able to borrow for the year. Step 2 might be have a discussion with my spouse or partner about this strategy. Step 3 might be to call a realtor or call a company like ours or somebody else, right? Step 4 might be to look at properties. Step 5, buy the property, right? Or set up an LLC. There are a number of action steps in this sequence. It's not going to be done overnight, but when you break it into these bite-sized chunks and you start checking them off one by one by one, you're going to be well on your way to financial freedom and having that very first rental property. I hope you found this helpful. This is the strategy that I use. I'm not terribly disciplined. I don't have all of the bells and whistles that my wife does when it comes to discipline of getting projects done. This is what I use. It's allowed me to become financially free. I hope that it will allow you to become financially free as well. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please share this with somebody you love. Also, check out the other great content we have here on the channel. We've got a whole series that will help you take action and become a real estate investor. Just click on the playlist and enjoy them. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Now go out there, take action, become a real estate investor. I believe it's the #1 way to build wealth. We'll see you.